Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Tim here with another edition of Managing the Madness. And I'm here with my boy, Tate Jackson. What up, baby?
How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Sweet. So let's start off for the listeners, for the fans out there, with a little bit of background on you. Obviously, we've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
But tell us what you're doing right now.
Okay.
Where you live and what you're doing, kind of what's going on right now, and then we'll kind of reverse it back.
Okay, sounds good. Right now, I'm living here, Cedar Park.
Nice.
I'm selling cars.
Nice.
Toyota Cedar Park.
Very cool.
I'm enjoying it a lot. And really, honestly, that's all I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into some more stuff, but
Okay.
right now I'm mostly just getting into the job.
Yeah.
And transition into this new life because it's recent for me. This new selling cars and living in Cedar Park thing.
Sweet.
So transitioning is where I'm at.
Working
right now.
man.
Yeah.
The working man.
Getting into the real world.
Nice. Okay, so big time swimmer.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go back. Let's talk about how you got into the sport, your background, where you lived, where you grew up, how we came to be.
Yeah.
In this scenario, let's kind of rewind the script a little bit here.
Yeah, run through the swim life.
Yeah.
So yes, swimmer, that was what I was good at. I tried to be good at all sports, but I was only good at swimming.
Okay.
My brother was way better than me at everything. So
you have two brothers, right?
Brothers. Trent, my older brother, was better than me at everything.
Yeah.
So I finally found swimming. I was good at that.
Okay.
I ran with it. I grew up in Iowa.
Okay.
I was born in Paris, France, actually, but don't remember any of it. It's just kind of a. I always say that it's a good 2 truths and a lie.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a real. I'm not actually from Paris. Like I'm not seeing the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
My little infant body has. I've not experienced anything. But I grew up in Iowa.
Yeah.
Got into swimming. I was really casual, super casual about it until probably early middle school. And then I started to be like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I enjoy this.
Yeah.
And then 8th grade or so, I got fairly good. Like good enough to where we were like, all right, he should probably start swimming all the time.
And good means fast, right?
Yeah.
Good means fast.
Yeah. I was getting pretty fast.
Yeah.
And got to the point where I needed to start training year round and be done with other sports. So I retired from soccer.
I was gonna say, what else do you dabble in? Like soccer?
Yeah.
Like as every other like 10, 12-year-old boy does, right?
If I could have it my way,
Yeah.
I'd have been a baseball player.
Okay.
That was my favorite sport. I
Okay.
was bad. Like just in like that's like the straight up truth was I was just really bad.
Yeah.
I was the kid that was like I was scared to be in the batter's box.
Okay.
And then Trent, again, my older brother was really good. Like he was a good pitcher. He was a really good hitter. And so I was his little brother. I was just bench warmer. I got pulled onto the same squad. So like, he's got potential.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I was just a bench warmer.
Okay.
So, baseball was my dream. I played soccer too. No offense to soccer players. I found it boring as a kid. I was the pick and flower kid.
I completely understand that. Having coached it for a long time, it can be. It can be. Yeah.
So that was me. And then I never played football. That was never my sport. Never got into football at all. Yeah. And then track and field. I think every kid does like track and field and cross country.
Especially
like
middle
1
school.
year.
Yeah.
And that was me. I did like 1 year of cross country or something.
Yeah.
But swimming was the one that I liked the most because my friends did it, and so I'm a very social guy.
Yeah.
So that I really liked, that I could kind of hang out with my friends and just chat for 2 hours every single day.
Yeah.
Got serious.
What? Eighth grade?
Eighth grade.
Okay.
Started commuting for swim practice.
Yeah.
I lived in a town called Muscatine in Iowa. And it's like kind of on the east side by Illinois. And we would commute into Iowa City, which is where the University of Texas is.
Yeah. And
I would swim with a club team up there. It's about a 45-minute drive.
Okay.
But I was going like every day. Like I would commute
you
45
minutes.
University
of Iowa, right? Yeah. Every day.
Every day, yeah.
God bless.
So that's where we were training. It was like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And went through all of high school like that. And I wouldn't do it during high school season because my high school had a pool. And I would do high school swimming up there.
Okay.
And it was like, we were really serious. Like we were state champions my freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome. And then my dad got the opportunity to move. Like he got a job promotion where they were kind of like, hey, we have some spots that we think you'd fit in.
Yeah.
These are kind of your options. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll see if you can go down and visit and see if it'll work out. So one of those was
here.
Technically, it was Temple, Texas.
Oh, okay.
But we had just gone to junior nationals for swimming in Palo Alto, and we saw Nitro destroy it. Like Nitro swimming did so good.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2010 or 2011.
Yeah.
And we saw Nitro do super, super well. And so we decided to come take a trip to Temple, Texas. We came to Austin, and we swam with the team, met the team, had a good time. Me and my brother like got along really, really well with the whole squad.
Yeah.
And talked to my dad, and he was like, yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Okay.
And so we moved to Austin, and then he started commuting 45 minutes to Temple.
So he flipped it around.
He switched it with us,
Okay.
It's a total dad move.
That is a dad move, dude. That's definitely a dad
shout out dad.
Yeah.
So then we lived really close by the pool.
Okay.
And then I was like literally 5 minutes from the pool.
Yeah.
And then we started taking it really seriously.
Yeah.
And high school was good. I didn't do high school swimming down here. I just did club. I only swim with Nitro.
Yeah.
I had an awesome time, made tons of friends.
Yeah.
Went through the recruiting process. I think we'll get into
that
later.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ended up. Yeah. That was where I'm from.
Give me some like I guess youth career like highlights, like or even like just stories from meets or or like how some.
Yeah, I'll start early on and go to like.
Because we started working together when you were
that first year I was here, 2012.
Yeah.
We started working together either summer of 2012 or summer of 2013.
I think it was 12, but yeah. I think it was 12.
So early stories. The first cool meet that I got to go to was the Midwest All Stars.
Okay.
It's 2010, Midwest All Stars 2010. I swam, I think, the 25 free and the 50 free.
Makes sense.
And that was awesome. I didn't swim that well. I vividly remember the scoreboard glitched and said that I went like an insanely fast time. And I did not go an insanely fast time. But that was a really cool trip for me because it was kind of my first like travel trip. I went with my mom. Me and Joni road tripped. And like there are things that happened on that road trip, like just mother-son bonding that we still joke about to this day.
Really?
It was an amazing trip.
You got one? You got a story?
I have the cap still. Yeah, I have a story. So
Okay.
we were driving, it was super snowy. I don't remember where we were driving through. It was in was it in Lincoln, Nebraska? Or was it was Midwest All-Stars. I don't remember where the meet was, I'm gonna be real. I feel like it was maybe Kansas.
Yeah.
We're driving through somewhere and it was really snowy.
Yeah.
And my mom, like, over and over and over and over again was like, dude, look how beautiful the trees are. Because it was those like the stickly trees, and they're all covered in ice. So it's like where they're like they look like icicle trees.
Yeah.
And she was just kept saying it. She said it like 12 times. And so finally, for the rest of the trip, I started bullying her as any good 13-year-old boy would do. I would bully your mother. And any tree I saw, I'm like, Mom, look how beautiful that tree is. So like to this day, on road trips or even if we see just anything that's like a beautiful tree, we shout it out.
Joni, look at that tree.
Yeah.
It's got no leaves on it.
So that was my first really cool trip. And then my second one was Midwest Zones. I made the Zones meet, which they do down here too.
Yeah,
I think my little brother made it.
Yeah.
And mine was like themed. It was in Indiana and it was called Indiana Zones.
Okay.
Temple of Zoom. Yeah, like Indiana Jones.
We're gonna make it really cool, guys.
Yeah, and so like my medals from that were like literally the pool designed to look like the Temple of Doom. And like Indiana Jones themed shirts, like it was a little rough for 2011.
Why?
I have no clue.
We don't need to sell this to anybody. They're coming anyways.
No clue.
There's no marketing necessary for this one.
You're coming to watch your kid, man. Nobody's showing up for fun.
Did they give out like fedoras and everything?
No. I vividly have a picture of me in a sombrero. I don't know. I didn't definitely not have an Indiana Jones hat. I think someone brought a like toy whip, but no. So those were my two like intro into like swimming
at a bigger
scale, and that was kind of where I started to feel kind of like big fish, little pond. It's like, hey, let's go see what everybody else is doing.
I'm killing this right about now.
Yeah.
Like, what else is there?
Yeah.
So Eric and Joni. What does Eric do? What did he do at that point in time?
He works for a furniture company. So Han, they make filing cabinets, like probably those filing cabinets. Anyway, they make filing cabinets and like office furniture is what Han makes. Yeah. And H&I is like I think a sister somehow associated. Yeah. And then when we came down here, he was working at Artco Bell, which is like a sub company of it. Okay. And they sell school furniture. Okay. Just school furniture.
Got it.
And he does something with numbers, math or something probably. Okay. His job seems super boring to me. It seems like he talks about numbers and quarterlies and stuff like that all the time.
Okay, so he's a finance.
But it's classic like dad because he's so excited about it. Like he loves it. He's just like all in it. He's all about it. He loves working.
Yeah,
like, he works a lot.
Yeah.
And he enjoys it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no surprise where me and Trent and Trey all kind of got our work ethic from. Where we're just like, yeah, we keep going, we keep doing that, man. No problem. And then, so that's what he does. Yeah. And then my whole life, my mom has been a stay-at-home mom. She's been a straight-up mom, full-time job.
That's awesome.
Which it would be with 3 boys with like 5 years apart.
Yeah, really.
So, and she named us all with the letter T to make it hard for strangers.
Yeah, no, because I've known you for half your life, and I stumbled over Trey.
Call me Trent. Trey.
Oh yeah,
I respond to it.
I sound like my parents with Tim, Bill, Chris whenever they do the same thing. And now I'm doing that, and then I would do that with you guys constantly. It's like, this is really annoying.
Yeah, I respond to them like totally normal. I'm out in public, someone says Trent, I just like shoot around. I'm like, oh, they're trying to talk to me, and I just think I'm my brother.
Exactly. Alliteration's cool.
So and mom was awesome. She was in, I think, childcare before we were born.
Okay.
And she does that now.
Yeah.
Like now, current day, she does that.
Okay.
But yeah, they're amazing people. They both grew up I always say they both grew up on farms.
Yeah.
Like real farms.
Like
my mom was in
farms.
a small town called Fairfield, Iowa.
Yeah.
And then my dad was in Carthage, Illinois, which are both small enough towns in the Midwest that like most people haven't heard of.
Never heard of them. Yeah.
And my dad was like on an actual like farm.
Yeah.
He grew up very poor, and my mom grew up on a farm that wasn't like a working farm. They didn't have like crops, I think is the word I'm looking for here. They had a cool pond that I vividly remember fishing in. And so, they ended up meeting each other in college.
Okay.
They went to a small town college, Central College, and they were both athletes, like big athletes.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, sorry, mom and dad, if I get it wrong. But I think dad played football and baseball, and then mom did basketball, cross country.
I knew she played
track
basketball.
and field.
I remember that. I've known her long enough to know that.
Yeah, so and they were good. Like they were good. My mom still has high school and college records. I think in both sports.
Okay.
I think my mom was probably better than my dad, but he would never say it. And you didn't hear me say it, but nobody said it.
It's not going to be filmed or anything or recorded.
Nobody did that. No big deal. My dad won't listen to it. My mom will listen to this. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well
then let's
so they were great people.
I know them both. So definitely I agree.
They're pretty awesome.
So let's get into obviously I only swam nitro for high school, and then recruiting starts kicking in a little bit, right? Because obviously you're fast, and people are noticing. So let's go down the road for the next 10 minutes or so on recruiting, college, because you have a very interesting story to tell.
I got cool recruiting stories.
I wanted to share this with everybody because it's a really interesting story because it just shows you have options.
So recruiting, first of all, when I was doing it, it's so different than right now.
It's definitely crazy.
I'm a little out of the swimming sphere right now. Yeah. I will come back in, I promise.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just a little reserved because I'm out. I'm pretty much stealthily retired. But recruiting's so different now. When I was doing it, the first big thing that happened was that you could get phone calls. Is that still a thing? July 1st?
Exactly, yes. But they've just basically, they've shortened the amount. I think they've made it junior year minimum. I think it used to be earlier, if I'm not mistaken. And they've kind of changed a little bit where they buttoned it up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, the first day that you could get phone calls from college coaches was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I remember I vividly remember all I did was questionnaires. I did a bunch of those online questionnaires.
Okay.
How big are your feet? How tall are you? What's your best time in this event?
How big
what's your favorite thing about school?
How big
your favorite thing about exactly.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I filled out those for all my schools.
Yeah.
All the schools that I had any interest in. And I think every high schooler is lying if they don't say that they're just picking the schools based on either a name of somebody they know is someone that's fast.
It's how my wife picks Final Four teams. Yeah. I like their mascot or their colors. That's not right.
It's either that or it's these are schools I've heard are fast, So that was me. I was Stanford.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to Stanford. Everybody would love to go to Stanford.
Yeah. Spanish Tile and all the buildings? Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I was Texas, Cal, they're fast swimmers. Indiana, they're fast. Wisconsin, they're fast. Florida.
Yeah.
Just anywhere that's a fast program, I wanted to send a questionnaire to.
Yeah.
And so that first day, I got out of practice. And I swim at Nitro up here, and so the road. When you're leaving Nitro, you go down that super long road up to that.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving down that road, and I have it on my speakerphone.
Yeah.
And I pull open my phone, I've got 4 voicemails already.
Yeah.
And it's 9 a.m.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I like start listening to him, and like one of the first 4 was the Michigan coach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's pretty cool.
It's Michigan.
Like, that's Michigan.
Yeah,
Michigan called me. They knew who I am.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I got into it, and I communicated with every coach until I hit the point where I was like, we're not vibing, or it's just straight up not in the question. Michigan, I like the coach a lot. Not in the question, because I don't want to live in Michigan.
No, sure.
Sorry, man. It's just not for me.
That's not where I want to be.
You know? And like I would talk to every coach. I'd be happy to. I'm a talkative guy.
Yeah.
And I had narrowed it down to probably like 10.
Okay.
And they were still like the fast top ones that I had talked to coaches and enjoyed like talking to them. Context, my older brother swims at Notre Dame.
Got it.
At the time.
Yeah.
He's 2 years older than me, so he's a sophomore at Notre Dame when I'm getting recruited.
Got it.
And so that is obviously one of mine. I want to go to Notre Dame because I've always swum with my brother, and I love my brother.
Yeah.
We've got all of our family's like really tight knit.
You guys have a great relationship. Yeah.
So that's one. Texas is one. Cal is one. Stanford is still one.
Got it.
Although at this point, I'm starting to realize I don't really want to go to Stanford because I don't really want to go and work really hard at school, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, it's fair. No.
At this point,
it's
I'm
fair.
like, I want to really focus on swimming.
Yeah, you want to swim.
So Georgia, Arizona, NC State, Tennessee.
These are all warm weather.
Yeah, these are all the ones that I was really thinking about. And those 8. And so I vividly remember doing a pro and con list for almost all of them. And they did some cool stuff. Like Tennessee, their whole team wrote me handwritten postcards.
That's crazy.
Like there was one day where I came home and I had 25 plus postcards.
That's wild.
University of Tennessee swim team.
Yeah.
It's that's sweet. That's a really cool.
That's a selling point. That makes me feel good.
Yeah. USC did the same thing. Dave Salo would write me little letters. It's cool. Super cool. It's way to make me feel like a real person that you appreciate and want to talk to.
Exactly.
And Eddie didn't send me anything. Eddie at Texas. He would just call. And the thing about his recruiting tactic is he's like, I'm not recruiting, I'm befriending. So he would call, and you wouldn't talk about swimming. Not a single time. He'd be like, how's your week been? Anything cool happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I did this, or I went and hunted, or I had a really good dessert, or he just talked to you. He'd be like, I'm your grandfather now. And that was awesome. It was an awesome experience there too. And I narrowed it down enough to be my recruiting trips. I was going to go to Arizona. I was going to go to Notre Dame. I was going to go to Texas. I was going to go to Tennessee. I was going to go to NC State.
Okay.
Those were my 5 recruiting trips.
Yeah.
My first one was Arizona.
Okay.
It was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I made lifelong friends on that trip.
Very cool.
Really enjoyed it. Offered me a good scholarship.
Yep.
And I really liked the coach. Second trip was to Notre Dame.
Yep.
Really loved it.
Obviously.
Super loved it. My brother's there. Been there a couple of times already just to unofficial visits because my brother's up there. Yeah. Know the team already. Know the pool already. All that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then take my Texas trip. Love it. Right?
Yeah.
Get along with a lot of the guys. I already know one of my best friends is going from Nitro. He's going to be there.
Yeah.
So there's definitely draws to that too. And they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is not that good.
Yeah.
And so that's a draw too. And I remember that at the end, on the Sunday after my Texas trip, the Notre Dame coach called me.
Yeah.
And offered me a full ride. Just a good way to handle it if you're working with an 18-year-old kid.
Here's everything.
Because he's like, oh, you just got back from probably our biggest competition.
Correct.
I'm going to offer you a really hard to refuse offer right after you experience
right
that.
now. Yeah.
So he offered me that, and then he was like, you basically have a day to realize it because I can't hold that scholarship in your name because I have to offer it to other kids, which is super fair. I totally get that.
And also not completely true.
Not completely true. We were really early on in the process.
I mean, I don't know the guy at all, but I know enough to go.
Yeah, so we were really early on.
Yeah,
early on.
But you don't know that.
It's I went first 3 weeks of the recruiting weekends. It opened. It's hunting season.
Yeah, you knocked them out, right?
Yeah, so I went 1, 2, 3, and so it's we're in the third week. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm getting close to the deadline of committing.
But at the same time, this is a new world, and it's not like you know that necessarily.
Yeah, and that's been a big goal of mine.
Correct.
Is to get a full ride. That's cool. My talents and my hard work paid for school.
Exactly.
Especially a school like Notre Dame, where it's an expensive education.
Yeah.
And so he offered me that, and I mulled it over for the next day, and I took it.
Yeah.
I called him and I was like, I'm in, I'll take it, I'll go to Notre Dame.
Yep.
I canceled my other 2 recruiting trips with Tennessee and NC State. They're both super cool with it. I
Yeah.
still have a really good relationship with the NC State coaches. I just didn't stay in contact with the Tennessee coaches. And yeah, I mean, I spent the next 4 months, because this would have been August, September-ish probably.
Yeah, it would have been fall.
So the next probably 5 months, really.
Yeah.
Thinking I was going to go to Notre Dame. And over the course of that time, I'm interacting with this coach.
Yeah.
Like, repetitively.
Sure.
And more as we interact, I'm like, oh, I don't vibe that well with this guy. Like, we're not really on the same page. Like, you know, he spoke in a way that was like not the way that I had been. His coaching style didn't mesh with me as an athlete.
Totally fair.
I think is the best way to say it.
Yep.
Like, not to say he's a bad coach, but he just wouldn't have been the best coach for me.
Yep.
And I was realizing that. And another thing is, I mentioned it earlier, coming down here from Iowa, for me was huge because I felt like big fish, little pond.
Yep.
And I wanted to go be bad again. I wanted to go to a big environment where it's like, hey, you're mediocre, Tate. You need to really work hard.
You chase.
Yeah. And so going to Notre Dame kind of felt like that, where I was like, if I show up, my 50 free time is already the best 50 free time.
I mean, they're not chasing anything.
Exactly. It's like, I'm just chasing the records that are there, or like my own. And I'm not saying that that's like, you know, I could have definitely done well there.
But no, you know what motivates you to be better, and ultimately that's not it.
And I love chasing people.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's Texas, man. They're really fast.
Yeah.
So.
And they're around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, your best friend's there.
Yeah. So I had been talking about switching for a couple of weeks with my club coach, also Tim.
Yep.
And then NCAA's happened, and they destroyed it. Like they put 6 up in the 100 fly that year.
Yeah.
In the A final of the 100 butterfly, we had 6 people. And I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should be there.
That's right.
Like, that's where I want to be. They're doing crazy stuff. I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so I remember talking to my coach Tim, and then calling up Eddie. Yeah. And I like talked to Eddie, and then Eddie was like, Tate, put Tim on, because I wasn't allowed to talk to Eddie.
Correct. You've already
like, I didn't know recruiting rules, right? So he's like, I can't talk to you. Put me on with Tim.
Yeah.
So we talked to Tim, and then Tim hung up. I didn't even get to talk to Eddie anymore because it's against the rules.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got to call the Notre Dame coach.
Yeah.
So we call the Notre Dame coach. They ask me, you know, why? What's the reasoning? You know, blah blah blah. I'm like, come on, you also just saw what happened on TV, right? Like, I want to be a part of that. Like, can you blame me? And also, you also have realized we don't mesh that well.
Yeah, you have to. You it's not like you're the only one in that conversation
that notices we don't
notices
jive.
that we don't really have a good, you know,
working
communicating relationship at this point in time, right?
And so, you know, and the rules at that point is I had signed my national letter with 10. And so the coach could have said, no, we're not going to release you.
Yeah.
And make me like stay.
Yeah.
And I would have had to take a gap year or gone to Notre Dame for at least a year and then transferred. And so basically at the very end of it, they asked me, they're like, what are you going to do if we just don't release you? And I was like, I'll just train another year. It was the year before 2016.
Yeah.
The year before 2016 Olympic trials. And I was like, I'll just stay another year with Tim, my coach, and I'll just train for trials. It'll be no big deal at all. And honestly, it probably would be pretty nice. Like, it'd be cool to take a gap year.
Yeah. Because again, school is not your priority at this point.
Not my priority. I grow up a little bit, get a little bit bigger. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, if you guys want to if you want to go that route,
that's fine.
Well, at the same time, you're like gonna probably make my older brother a captain on your team next year. It's like, what are you trying to do? That's a weird vibe to give off to my brother who's still on your team. Like,
true.
You know, I'll never not cheer for Notre Dame because of what it was in my life. I wear a Notre Dame Letterman jacket like all the time. But anyway, they ended up releasing me. I called up Eddie. I told him I wanted to come to Texas. He said absolutely. And then it was like super fast. I had to get everything done because it's so late now. Yeah. And he's like, bro, I got to get you into school. Yep. I did my application, my essays. I sent in everything in like a span of like 8 hours. Like the next day.
The thing that like my kids spend like, you know, the semester doing. Basically.
I just cranked it out. Because at that point it was like, can I get in? And he was like, yes. You're like, because I had good grades in high school. I did pretty well. So, like, he could get me in, and it was fine. And so that first year, and I went from the full ride to books. Yeah, that's straight books. All I got was books. And it's a little better, right? In-state tuition. Sure. I'm not complaining too much.
It's still Texas.
And after a couple years, they bumped me up a little. I got a little bump. But it was, that was my recruiting process. It was a good interesting adventure.
Yeah.
And like you said, knowledge of the fact that it's up to you. It's your decision. You're 18.
I've talked about this a lot lately with people like yourself who have finished their college careers, and even the parents before in the first season, where I think that a lot of times kids feel like they don't have a lot of choice in the matter, or they don't have as much control as
you have all the control.
You have absolutely tons of control.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. So it's I think these are good stories to tell, because and part of the reason why I keep chasing people down like yourself to talk to, because I deal with so many kids now and parents now who just you have to educate yourself on this process, because you have control, especially now with transfer portals and everything else, and you can just go. Yeah, like you would have had to sit out, I think, at that point in time, right? If you had transferred after the year, would you not have had to sit out a year as well, or no?
I don't think so, because we're not in the same conference. I think that's how it works, right? Like if I would have transferred to like North Carolina, right?
Yeah, I know. It would have been ACC.
ACC. If I would have transferred into an ACC, then I would have had to sit out. But I think if I was going Big 12, they wouldn't have cared.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you have all of the say, and it's like you really gotta, like the recruiting trips, you really gotta focus on what you are doing.
Yeah.
Because it's like
questions. What do you want? Like I constantly, the kids are doing right now. I'm like, ask questions.
Put your phones down.
Yeah. Pay attention.
Like that's one thing I wish I did more on my recruiting trips, was like I was texting people that I knew from high school. Yeah. Right. Like I'm texting my parents or I'm texting my friends, and I'm like, bro, you're trying to figure out if you want to be here for the next 4 years full time with these people.
Yeah.
Maybe
pay attention and engage. Right?
Yeah.
See what you like, or if you have
ask tons of questions. Anything that interests you, or you have any questions about, just ask it, because it's not. Everyone has thought it before. Yeah. Like we've all went through it and we were all confused. So just ask. No one is going to care.
No, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So obviously college went pretty well.
Yeah, college went pretty well.
How many national titles did you guys have while you were there? 2?
We got three national championships as a team.
Yeah.
And then I was on, I think, 4 relays.
Yeah.
4 relays, maybe.
Yeah.
One my senior year. Yeah, I think 4. I think 4 is the right answer, but I don't know if that's 100% true.
Wow. But
clearly, it was solid.
Clearly, the choice you made was the right choice at that point in time, right?
Yeah. So sophomore year I really blew up.
Yeah.
I went into college, for all the swimmers out there. I went into college, I think, right at 19.9 in my 50 free. Yeah. I had just dipped under my senior year to like 19.9. Yeah. And then the end of freshman year, I think I went 19.2. Okay. Or like 19.4. Okay. I think it was 19.4. Yeah. At the end of my freshman year, and then I was like, oh, I'm pretty good. And the end of sophomore year, I was like 19.2. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, we're pretty good. Yeah. So I dropped a lot. College helped me a ton. Yeah. I mean, it was really hard training. Yeah. It was a different experience for me, like with a team to all kind of work towards the same goal. Yeah. So we won the Natty Championship my freshman year. I did not score any points at NCAAs. I was just kind of there. I had a really good Big 12s. Yeah. Which that'll be a running theme. Yeah. For these stories, I was never really a huge performer in NCAAs. Okay. Sophomore year, same thing. Yeah. I did okay. I definitely was on one relay, I think, that year in the prelims. I don't know if I was on any finals relays. And I did really good in the 50 in prelims. I went to 19.2. Yeah. I think I got 9th that year, maybe. Like I won the B final, or I got like 2nd in the B final or something. And then junior and senior year, I at least A-finaled in my events. Yeah. But only ever one. Yeah. So like junior year, it was the 100 free. Yeah. I got 8th. Yeah. In the A final, I died hard. I swam way, like literally every year I swam better at Big 12s or Winter Invite. All my best times were from Big 12s or Winter Invite.
I mean, like I don't know if that's a taper thing, if that's a timing thing, that's a mental thing.
Yeah, mental thing. I think a big thing, and then taper thing is another thing. Yeah. I was never fast in season, so I needed to taper to get my cuts. Yeah. But then to taper to get my cuts, I then have to double taper to keep tapering for NCAAs.
The next one, yeah.
So like that makes it hard too. Yeah. But I would probably honestly, knowing what I know now, I blame it mostly on mental. Like I think I was overwhelmed by that meet. I built the meet up to be something that is like something huge, as opposed to like, hey bro, it's just a swim meet. Yep. You know? Yep. I think that's one common thing among swimmers. Is it's like we get way overhyped. Like you get overexcited for the meet. Yeah,
you get way over your skis. Like you're way out in front of it, and I'd like to speak to that a little bit, if you don't mind. Like,
go for it.
The mental part of everything. I find, and obviously you can speak to it more than I can, having worked with so many young swimmers, like the sport is just cruel.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It is the cruel.
It's rough.
I've worked with athletes from every background, gymnastics and dance to like football, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, but it's the cruelest sport, because you're talking about 19.9 to 19.7. That's 0.2 seconds. Like 0.2 of a second.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. And you lose by 1/10 or 100th even sometimes because of reaction time. Or it's and you can be training your entire year,
the whole year, not drop time,
to not drop time, or even worse, at it. And it's the most it's ridiculous. I'm assuming track is the same way. I haven't worked with track athletes, but I'm assuming it's a similar way. But it's the most grueling thing, and it has to take a toll mentally on you.
Yeah, I mean it's super hard mentally, like for sure. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
Eddie always used to say that nobody picks swimming. Like swimming picks you because it's so hard that only certain people would be swimmers.
No, I have to remind the kids, like, you realize you kind of chose to do this. I mean, are you sure you want to keep doing this? Like, I'm not talking about doing what they like to do, but you have to really love getting the crap kicked out of you, or allowing yourself to get the crap kicked out of you on a daily. To do that, and then to just rebound over and over and over again. It's
So, and the big meets, they're rough too, because it's like you put all this, because then it's the gratification.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now I've just casually trained super hard for 10 months.
Yeah.
And now I have 40 seconds to prove it. That's it.
Yep.
There's no takesies backsies. If you miss one turn, your race is over.
Yeah. If I miss a wall, it's
so
over.
like I choked like my senior year of NCAA. So like I was top seed. I was number 1 in the country. I went 41-0 at Winter Invite.
Yeah.
So I was number 1 in the country going in, and I didn't even final. I was like 32nd at the meet because I just was my brain just was way too stimulated. I didn't just go in and swim it like I know how to swim it. I just it's way too much.
Thinking about every little thing, every little detail, like start my foot position here.
So junior year I did good in the 100 and I did bad in the 50, and then senior year I did fine in the 50 and good in the and bad in the 100. Didn't even final. I got 7th in the 100.
Yeah.
And then we won the relay my senior year, which was cool. My last collegiate swim ever, we won.
That's awesome.
It was the 4x100 freestyle relay.
Yeah.
And then we lost that meet at home in NCAA.
I was at that meet
my senior year, but we won that, and so I still got a ring for it.
Nice.
So I got a ring for my last collegiate swim ever.
That's cool.
Which is super cool.
That's the way to
go. It's like
out.
probably my favorite ring.
That's the way to go out.
So
cool.
College was really cool, and then I didn't want to give it. And then it got better.
Yeah.
Because I graduated college and I could just swim.
See, this is where I want to go here. So let's do a quick little overview. So you went pro.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ISL is the pro league, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Or the International
Swimming League, which is currently not in operation.
And not a thing, right?
They're taking a year off to recover from the COVID.
Yeah. So this was, let's do a quick 30,000 foot view of, there were how many teams?
8.
It's built like almost like a league of American sports where there's 8 teams across the world, though.
Yes.
Right. That are and are they training in those places?
No. So you don't train in your team's location. Like I was in the Cali Condors.
Yep.
Still trained wherever I trained originally.
Got it. Okay.
So there was people part of the Hungarian team that were training here in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Like you just
like Maxime was for LA, right?
Correct.
He was training here.
You got pulled to be on it. You were representing a team.
Yeah.
You weren't like training with or because swimming's an individual sport.
That area, right?
Right. Like swimming is an individual sport that's scored as a team.
Thank you for. I want to put that on record because the number of times that I have to make that point to people in the swimming world, it is an individual sport
that is scored as a team.
Scored as a team.
So even when we're there at the competitions, we're not a team in the effect of like we're not doing the same. Like it's not like a soccer warm up.
Correct.
I'm not like bro.
Yeah.
Hop in for these 4x200s with me because it's on me. It's my stuff.
Yeah.
So whatever, and we're all pros.
Yep.
So we all know what we need respectively.
Yeah.
What I do doesn't work for Townley, and what he doesn't work for me.
So really, there's not even any coaching at this level.
Correct.
It's
there was basically like
a group of people coming together.
To race.
Yeah. Which sounds really cool.
It was really cool. I love ISL.
Yeah.
I hope that it makes an awesome recovery. And blows up.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people in the swimming world that don't like it because they have like negative views of it.
Okay.
It's only good for the sport. The only way the sport keeps getting bigger is if we keep paying the athletes more.
Yeah.
Because USA Swimming doesn't pay enough.
Fair enough.
and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
The world keeps getting more expensive.
Yeah.
It's not a lucrative job being a pro swimmer.
Yeah.
So, ISL, I was on the Cali Condors. Jason Lezak, the legend, was our GM.
Okay.
And then our coaches were Greg Troy, Caleb Dressel's coach.
Okay.
And then there was, it rotated a little bit. I can't really remember all of the coaches.
Yeah.
Bunch of legends.
Yeah.
So got to work with a bunch of really, really cool people.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, the first year was really small. I think there was every team did 4 meets.
Okay.
And they brought me in halfway through the season, my first year.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't announced that I was going to keep swimming professionally, so nobody knew that I was going to keep doing it. And then when I just started showing, when I just started showing up in like scoreboards as still swimming post college, that's when I got the call from Jason.
Got it. Okay.
And then they flew me out to I did a meet in DC, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I did the championships in Vegas.
Okay.
And our team got second, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then season 2, that was in the Vegas was fall of 2020.
Yeah.
Or sorry.
No, it would have been
fall of 2019.
19, yeah.
So fall of 2019 is when Vegas happens.
Yeah.
So then spring of 2020 happens.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah.
The world shuts down for COVID.
Yeah.
And so ISL still happens, but what they do is it's a bubble, like the NBA did and the NFL did, and we were on an island on a river in the middle of Budapest. So there's a river that runs through Budapest, 2 different cities, allegedly. That's what the people tell me.
Yeah.
So there's a river that divides them called the Danube.
The Danube, yeah.
And there's an island called the Marguerite Island, I think. Or there's a Z somewhere in there, so I'm probably saying it wrong.
Sure, why not?
But we, in the Grand Budapest Hotel, no meme, that's real, that's what it's actually called.
Yeah.
And then the Grand Thermal Spa are both on this island.
This is wild.
So they reserved out all of the whole island. It's shut down in the winter.
Yeah.
It's at a Central Park amusement park in the summers.
Okay.
So they shut it down. We had closed access to it. And it's height of COVID.
Yeah.
So we're a bubble system.
Yeah.
They have all the meals for us.
Yeah.
We get COVID tested every 3 days or every 4 days.
Yeah.
Brutal COVID. Into my brain. People are complaining. People's noses are bleeding. Super big complaints.
Yeah.
We're there for 6 weeks straight.
Okay.
Just straight 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy cool experience. Made a lot of friends. Really diversified my friend group in the swimming community.
That's cool.
Because then it was just the same exact thing. There's not a ton of structure.
No.
Just a bunch of really fast swimmers staying in 2 hotels for 6 weeks, racing every day. You basically race 3 days in a row and have a day off.
Got it.
Or wait, no. You'd have 3 days off and race.
Got it.
3 days off and then race.
Got it. Okay.
And it was cool. That was ISL. And then that 3rd season I didn't do.
Yeah.
Because I was debating whether or not I was going to keep swimming or not. And then there was no 4th season, and I stopped swimming at that point. But ISL was really cool, and I hope it comes back. I hope it explodes because
I watched them. I watched a few of them. Especially when you were swimming, it was really cool because they make it. I've seen international swim meets and I've seen my ISL meets, and they change it up.
They made it a spectacle.
It was a spectacle.
We had a DJ.
Yeah.
Fog.
There were light
shows,
shows,
lights, logos.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
The team names, branding was really cool. It was a cool thing.
They walk you out and announce you before the meet. There's it's like the PGA Tour almost, where there's an internal cup where we're competing for the ISL championship for individual swimmers' points.
That's cool.
And then the biggest thing, they paid well. They paid really well.
There's the thing. The thing with I don't
when
think,
they paid. Yeah.
I don't think when they paid. When they paid, they paid well. I think that's what a lot of people who don't know swimming, who don't follow swimming, don't get the fact that realistically, unless you're Kayla Becky.
Yeah, if you're top of the top, it's great.
You're getting paid. But, and
you've got a lot to do. You put a lot of work in for that.
But there's 50 people on the national team, right? There's 25 and 25. And that's if you're not the top 10%, then you're probably not getting paid very well.
Yeah.
And you're not, and you're swimming, how often would you say?
For racing?
Yeah.
I was racing probably at least once a month, if not twice a month.
and
trying to race twice a month.
Exactly. Yeah, and still trying to train to that level,
and trying to train for one meet,
and then also not getting financially compensated very well for it.
Yeah,
it's a hard life, man.
It is. Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. I mean, because again, we're out of college at this point. Like, this is not college.
Yeah,
like where you're doing it on the side in addition to
school, and I got a scholarship,
paid for this and that. Yeah. No, this is like, hi, I'm a real.
This is like, I need to win this race, or rent is going to be rough. Like that's the spot where we're
exactly.
at. Yeah.
So ISL was obviously like this is awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was like, this is awesome, and then a year went by, and then they finally paid me for the year prior. Like literally, I didn't get paid until over a year after it.
Yeah.
That's why they're taking a year break to recuperate and be prepared and be able to like pay people on time.
Exactly.
And, like make it a lot more feasible for people to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, ISL was really cool, and like the whole time I was national team on the U.S. national team as well. So they were paying me a salary. And then I got to represent them at like the World University Games.
Yeah.
I was in Italy for like 2 weeks, which is crazy cool.
Yeah.
Stayed on a cruise ship. And I got to go do appearances and Zoom calls with swim teams. And I love that stuff.
That's
I love
cool.
the giving back to the young swimmer kind of thing.
That's cool.
Because I had a super awesome like upbringing in swimming. So I like to
you're paying it back.
Make it a little more fun for someone else that's a young swimmer.
Exactly. Let's transition a bit into kind of obviously we kind of touched the parents already a little bit. Who they are, what they did when they were growing up, kind of the athletes they were.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to like the support structure for you, for Trent, for Trey, like over the course of kind of your youth. Like obviously dad worked, mom was taking care of you guys. Give me like a typical day.
Yeah.
Like, from like carpool, from like food, meals. You guys eat, like kind of give me a snapshot of like how they supported you, how often you got to see them and spend time with them. Obviously more time with Joni probably than Eric, but give me kind of a snapshot of a day. Like, kind of prime, you're all three still there. Maybe Trent's a junior, you're sophomore, freshman, and Trey's like, 8th grade or something at that point.
Yeah, so like that first year, so the last year before we moved from Iowa, I'll do that, and then I'll do like our first year here.
Okay.
Because our last year when we moved from Iowa, it was like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like we would wake up, we would go some morning practice with the high school team.
Yep.
And then we would do school all day.
Yep.
We would leave school, meet at like a parking lot, and then we would all pile into one car and carpool the 45 minutes to practice.
Okay.
Do the practice, carpool back to the parking lot, and then go home, dinner, bed, reset.
Done.
Like homework, whatever. And then here, it got a lot better. Like, it's just, we got free an hour and a half. Like, basically, it's like, here's an hour and a half extra that you get now.
Yeah.
Because we're 6 minutes from the pool.
Exactly.
So then it's a lot easier. Like, either Trent's driving or my mom's driving us to practice in the morning. Going to practice, coming back home, breakfast. We didn't take the bus to school because Trent could drive the whole time, right?
Yeah, by that point in time.
Whole time that we were here in Texas, Trent could drive.
And you guys were at Vista Ridge, was like literally across the
street. Again, 7 minutes. Yeah. So it was like nothing was far away. So Trent would drive us to school. We would do school.
Yeah.
And then we would come see you.
Yeah.
We'd do school and we'd come see you, right? Because we saw you before practice?
No, you see me after practice.
After practice.
After practice.
So because we would originally go home.
Yeah.
I vividly remember I'd get about an hour with my mom.
Yeah.
And every day I'd come home and catch the end of Ellen. And then like half or full episode of Friends.
Nice.
And so she almost always would have a snack.
Yeah.
Almost always would have a snack.
Okay, so pause that. What would you guys eat? Favorite breakfast, favorite snack? Who cooked? I'm assuming she cooked.
Yeah. So favorite breakfast, she would, real favorite breakfast was she makes sausage, egg, and cheese burritos. Right? So it's just an easy, like, she would make a huge pan of it and then just have 3 tortilla shells and just dump it all in and ready to go. Favorite snack? She would, the snacks honestly weren't ever anything that were like super deep. Trail mix, peanut butter crackers. Like, she basically was like, hey, you have to eat food if you're going to go work out now. Like, sorry, you got to be a mom for a second. You got to consume something.
Yeah.
And then when I was getting older, she almost got more into that snack because then that became my 4th meal. I was then trying to gain weight and like do better things in the sport of swimming. So then it became like, instead of peanut butter crackers, it's like, hey, we're gonna have half a grilled chicken breast and a little bit of pasta, and then you're gonna go swim, and then you're gonna come home and have a real dinner. So that's how that was. And then we go practice, come back home. Dinner, dinner, homework. So that was it.
Okay.
Because swimming was all of us. All we did was swim. Me and Trent were swimming in the same group. Made it a little easier for Mom. We were on the same schedule. And then Trey, the first year we were here, was just kind of hesitant on whether he wanted to be a swimmer or not.
Got it.
So he didn't do a ton of swimming that first 6 months, I would say.
Okay.
And then when he picked it up, Mom was in charge driving because we weren't going to go to the pool extra.
No.
There were some nights I think where we would take him home. Like we'd get done at the same time, he'd come home with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did a lot. And then the whole time my dad's driving 45 minutes every day.
Yeah.
4 days a week, I think, to Temple.
Okay.
Making that long commute.
Yeah.
So
did you guys see him at all, during the week?
No. I mean, he would get home pretty late.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd see him. He was home for dinner probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then 4.
Yeah.
He was not.
Yeah.
But it got way better because then as he had worked there, after he'd worked there for probably 6 months, he had kind of explained his situation to his job, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just stop coming so often." And he was
work from home or whatever.
"Oh, I could just do it from home," and they're like, "Yeah." And so he kind of worked from home before it was hip.
There we go. Okay.
And so he would still go up probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
But he was home a lot more after that point, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually he quit that job. He quit.
Yeah.
I think they ended up selling the company. I think is what happened.
Yeah.
And he went off and started his own franchise to try and save companies money.
Oh, very cool.
He's a numbers guy.
He's a numbers guy.
I don't know.
He's a numbers guy.
But he did that to try and help out churches and golf courses and wineries and that kind of stuff, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then he got bored and wanted to go back to corporate America. So now he does the same thing for a company.
Yeah. Well, so let's give me some favorite stories. So maybe, I don't know, let's see, how do I want to go here? Words of wisdom kind of vibes like that, kind of put a bow on it a little bit.
Yeah, my words of wisdom, I always have words of wisdom. I do a lot of clinics that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So I feel like I always have something I'd like to say.
Yeah.
One that I always end every single time I work with kids is the most important thing the whole time is that you're still enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because, that's not to say that there's going to be mornings where you wake up and don't want to go, because there will be. That's for everything always. You're going to wake up one time and be like, I don't want to do it today.
Yeah.
And then you just got to still do it, because once you start doing it, it'll be chill.
Exactly.
But it's got to be fun. You got to keep it fun the whole time.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it turns into, I always say, don't let it be your job until someone's paying you.
Yeah.
Okay? When you're a junior, senior in high school, and you're about to be at the point where someone is going to be paying you in scholarship.
Yep.
Okay, time to start maybe taking it pretty seriously.
Down a little bit.
End of junior year, start of senior year, and definitely in college if you're getting a scholarship.
Yeah.
But if you're in 8th grade, man, keep having fun. Because the more fun you have at swim practice, the more you're going to want to go to swim practice. And 9 times out of 10, the more times you show up to practice and want to have fun, the more times you're going to show up to practice and have a good day.
Yeah.
The more times you have a good day, the more times you have a good practice.
Yeah.
The more times you have a good practice, more days you get better. Faster you go.
Exactly.
Happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, is what I always say.
Yeah.
It is really hard to swim fast when you are scared, nervous, hate it. If you hate something, you don't want to do it. And we just talked about how hard the sport is.
Yeah.
Eddie would always say, if you do not like this, stop.
Yep.
It is way too hard to be trying to fake it.
Absolutely.
Way too hard.
Absolutely.
So that's one piece of advice I always give, because that was me. I did not take this sport seriously until 9th, 10th grade. Sophomore year of high school, I started to be oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm beating my brother now, sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
And I'm putting up nationwide best junior times.
Yeah.
I think I was number 2 in the 50 free of my class.
Yep.
And so it's I started to get to that point. I was okay, we should probably start taking, I could actually take this seriously. And then it was the end of sophomore year when I went that 19-2 that Eddie was like, hey, have you thought about, we could start chasing the next Olympics?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that's a thing? I'm in that realm?
Yeah.
And that is really where I started to dial in.
I think it's a good, it's almost a good thing to not be that aware of that.
Yeah.
Because then that's pressure.
Oh, yeah.
That maybe you don't need, right, at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Because like you said earlier, everyone gets out over their skis a little early. Like they start to go and put too much stock and too much detail well before they need to, or well before at a point where they don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's actually a good a good point, was that like, you know, I wasn't always aware that next thing was there.
Yeah. No, I wasn't at all.
That's okay.
I didn't know
in
the
the
national
moment. You're
team
in the
got
moment.
paid.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like the first time that someone was like, "Oh yeah, you qualified for the stipend," I'm like, "The what?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You mean I actually can feasibly do this and like pay rent?"
That's just, you're staying in the moment, which is what that's where the sweet spot's supposed to be, right?
Yep.
Like you're not thinking about what you didn't do. You're also not thinking about what you could possibly do later on down the road. It's what's happening right now.
Yeah, and I think
huge.
that's another thing that I love to talk about with kids.
Yeah.
Is focus on right now.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have so many more races. If you're a swimmer, you totally understand. You've had so many races in the past. You're gonna have so many more races.
Absolutely.
I always tell people, try and minimize the amount of pressure you're putting on yourself.
Yeah.
Because every race, 99% of races are not really races to do your best.
Correct.
You know, like 99%, and I'm exaggerating, but like 99% of your races are like, what am I gonna learn here? You know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not shaved, I'm barely tapered, I'm in a Speedo.
Yeah.
What am I gonna learn here? Is it gonna be that I mess up my flip turn when I'm this tired? Is it going to be that, oh, I need to take one less breath?
Yeah.
There's something to pull, even if you're not ready 100%.
Correct.
And I think especially younger kids
Yeah.
will swim poorly in the middle of a season.
Yeah.
And they're so accustomed to, I drop half a second every time I swim.
No.
That's something I talk about every clinic. Is I'm like, guys, I haven't dropped half a second in a race since I moved to Texas. Like since I was in high school, I have not dropped half a second in a because it's you're talking tenths, like you were talking about earlier. You're talking such small increments. Yeah. And so it's like you get to that point where you're just bigger now. You're not growing enough to where you can't naturally drop a ton of time. Yeah. And so you start feeling bad about yourself because you're like, oh, I always drop half a second every time I swim. Yeah. And you get to the point where you're like, oh, I didn't drop any time this time. And it's like, yeah, that's fine.
That's totally okay.
But what did you learn? Why didn't you drop time?
Correct.
You know, like, did you go out the same? Did you come back the same? Did you mess something up?
How you got there isn't always, they don't take, and I hear the same thing, they don't tell me why the taper didn't go well. Yeah. Right? Or why they didn't, like, it just didn't go, like, well, they messed up my taper. No, what, how? Yeah. Like, what happened?
Were you swimming too much? Were you not swimming enough?
Give me the details so that you can correct that next time.
You need to be able to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, that's one thing I always say is, like, and I'll never say don't cry or, like, don't mope. You have the right to cry and mope, but you only have that right for, like, 2 minutes. Yeah. Right? Like, if the race is 45 seconds, you can't spend the next 45 minutes being sad about it. That's so silly. Yeah. You're letting something so small that you're going to do 100 more times affect such a big portion of your day. And then also, if it's a multi-day meet, you're carrying that for the rest of it.
Yeah. I think Tiger Woods said, like, if I had a bad shot, I have until the next shot, and once I get to that next shot, I have to be over it. I have to be over it. I can process it. I can be angry. I can be upset, but as soon as I get to the next shot, I can't be holding on to that anymore. I've got this. The next thing is now. Right.
Yeah. And like multi-event meets, I think that's an amazing thing to do. Yeah. Is like when you walk off, be upset for the 2 minutes. Yep. And then when you walk up to the blocks the next time, don't think about how bad you did. Yeah. Think about what's one thing you're going to do better? Correct. Or, you know, don't think about it at all. Yeah. You know, like just move on. You can't change. There's nothing you can do to change it. Correct. Right? The only thing you can do to change it is have a positive attitude, realize the next race is a different race. So, like, those are the big things I think for young swimmers, is keep it fun. Because if you try and make it a job when you're 13, you're going to go your 10 years and you're going to retire when you're 23. Right? Yeah. And that's not what... Like, a 23-year-old will never be as fast as a 26-year-old that have swam the same amount because he's just bigger, faster, stronger. Exactly. Like, it's just that's how it is. Yeah. So it's like, if you want to take this long term, you gotta just chill. Yeah. Just be patient with the process. Yeah. You can go nuts once you're 21 and making money doing it. Go nuts when you're 18 and in college and have all the energy in the world. Like, that's so cool. Yeah. But, like, don't tear yourself apart at 12 trying to make $1 million. Like, you're good, man. You'll get there. Just trust the process. Done.
That's it. Easy. That's the line. Trust the process.
Trust the process. That's an Eddie line.
Yeah. Brother, thanks, man.
Of course.
Dude, it's good stuff.
Of course.
It's good stuff.
Wait, what was Eddie's thing? He had a quote. This can be our post-credit scene.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what it was. take care of yourself, take care of each other, and the rest will take care of itself.
Guys, we're out of here on that right there. Thanks for joining us, and hope you enjoyed it. Take care. We'll see you next time.